Students, in this video, we will be discussing about basic concepts of economics, managerial economics, and utility. Now, what do we mean by economics? Economics is the study of human behavior. Now, what is human behavior? Human behavior is to maximize their utility. Since the resources are limited, every individual has limited resources, and through those limited resources each individual tries to earn maximum benefit or utility. Now economics tells us how an individual going to behave through the available resources, how they are going to spend their available resources, and to earn maximum satisfaction. As the image in this slide represents, each and every individual has wants. To satisfy those wants, every individual do some kind of efforts, and those efforts results into satisfaction. Once a particular want is satisfied, another want raises. Again, human being starts their new efforts to satisfy their second want. Once they achieve their satisfaction, then the third wants arises. So it's an ongoing process. Since each and every individual has unlimited wants, but to satisfy those unlimited wants, individual has limited resources. So they have to spend their resources, limited resources, for satisfaction of unlimited wants. So how come an individual going to spend their limited resources for satisfaction of their unlimited wants? So spending resources in such a manner that earns an individual maximum satisfaction is known as economics. How come it could be done? For doing so, each and every individual has to prioritize individual has to prioritize which want they want to satisfy earlier and which want can be deferred. Accordingly, resources are spent. So economics is nothing, it's a study of human behavior, how an individual or human can maximize their satisfaction through available limited resources. So that is economics. Now economics has been categorized into two branches, that is microeconomics and macroeconomics. So microeconomics and macroeconomics has been explained uh, by the word itself, that is micro and macro. Even then, if we want to explain it further, so microeconomics is the study of individual. If we want to study the behavior of an individual, so that part of economics is known as microeconomics. When we are talking about if individual, that individual can be an human being, that individual can be a factory, that individual, that unit can be an industry. So when we are going to study an individual, when we are going to study a company, when we are going to study a firm, when we are going to study a particular industry, so that all studies form part of microeconomics. But when we go and study entire economy, likewise, if we want to study the economic status of India, so that economic status of India form part of macroeconomics. So microeconomics is the study of individual and macroeconomics is the study of aggregate of national economy as a whole is known as macroeconomics. So purpose of this classification is to devise the concepts how to study individual, how we are going to study economy as a whole. Since economy consists of all the individuals, all the firms, all the industry that exist into any particular economy. So when we are studying entire economy, so concepts and techniques should be different. When we are studying a particular individual, a company or a firm or an industry, the concepts and techniques should be something else. So classification of economics into two parts is specifically to define the various tools and techniques for the study of particular sector. So when we are discussing about microeconomics, so we are basically focusing on the demand analysis, utility analysis. We are going to discuss the production analysis. We are going to study cost analysis. We are going to study the market structure. All these concepts form part of microeconomics. But when we are going and study macroeconomics, we discuss about gross national product, gross domestic product, business cycle, inflation. All these concepts form part of macroeconomics. And this is basically our entire syllabus. Our syllabus has been categorized into two categories. Certain topics cover microeconomics concepts and certain topics cover macroeconomic concepts. Now we have discussed economics. Uh, our subject is managerial economics. Now what does managerial economics means and how come it is different from economics? So managerial economics is nothing else. It is the application of economics tools and techniques into business decision making. If we want to apply some kind of decisions, if you want to apply some kind of economic tools into business decisions, so that particular concept become managerial economics. Now, how come through application of various economic concepts we can go and decide or we can go and take various business decisions? So let's take an example. In economics, we has a concept of diminishing marginal utility. Now, what does this diminishing marginal utility means? It means with the consumption of each and every successive unit, when an individual consumes number of units and with the consumption of each and every successive unit, the utility being derived by the individual keeps on diminishing. It's an economic concept. In a layman language, if you keep on consuming, if you are having your meal and in meal you are having chapati, so you are going to consume 2, 3, 4 chapati and the utility you are driving from the first chapati will be the highest. Then the utility which you will be driving from the second chapati will be something lesser than what you have derived from the consumption of first chapati. And most probably after the third chapati, you will be saying that you have satisfied your hunger need. So that means an individual can consume up to a certain limit only. No individual can consume unlimited meal. Why so? Because each and every individual have diminishing marginal utility if an individual keep on consuming certain commodity. So the utility he is going to drive from each and every successive unit will keeps on diminishing, and after a particular point of unit consumption, it can be reaches to negative utility. Means with the consumption of a particular unit, you won't be driving any utility. In fact, you will be driving some kind of dissatisfaction. Now, this concept has to be applied into business decision making. And this concept has been very effectively and efficiently applied by the various restaurants which are having a fixed price for a particular meal, and they have unlimited quantity. They offers unlimited quantity to consume in a particular meal, right? So they are knowing it. No individual can consume unlimited quantity. So that's why they have offered, if you are going to pay, suppose you are going to pay 300 rupee, in 300 rupee you can consume unlimited. An individual can consume unlimited quantity. Now, because they are knowing it, no individual can consume unlimited unit, unlimited quantity. So there is no harm in claiming if you in 300 rupee you can go and consume unlimited commodity. But when an individual start consuming after a particular point of commodity consumption, his needs are satisfied and he cannot consume further. So this diminishing marginal utility concept has been very well applied by the various restaurants or meal provider, and might be they are not knowing it uh, when they are offering this particular proposal. So they have actually taken into consideration diminishing marginal utility, or they are very much uh, aware of economic concepts. So that I doubt. But knowingly, unknowingly, they have applied an economic concept into business decision making. In a similar manner, when we apply various economic concepts into business decision making, so that become part of managerial economics. Now, every subject, every stream has certain principles, and those principles works as fundamental for the application of entire subject or stream. In a similar manner, managerial economics has certain principles, and we keep on finding the application of these principles in each and every aspect of managerial economics. Now we are having 6 basic principles of managerial economics. We are going to discuss each and every principle one by one. The first principle which we have is marginal principle. Marginal principle says the change in total revenue due to unitary change in production, or change in total cost due to production of one additional unit. So marginal means when we are taking an increment of one unit, and because of that increment either in production or in consumption, because of that increment of one unit, what is the change in our revenue or cost, or satisfaction or cost. So when we are going to analyze impact of unitary change on the revenue and cost, is known as marginal principle. Through margin principle, we are going to decide how much unit should be consumed so that our profit is maximized. So we keep on consuming one additional unit till the marginal cost equals to marginal revenue. Prior to this particular point, where marginal revenue is more than marginal cost, we have started increasing our total revenue. Once we achieve the equilibrium point where marginal cost is equal to marginal revenue, beyond this point, if we keep on consuming, the cost will be more than revenue. So it will be no profit zone. So profit is maximized where marginal cost is equals to marginal revenue. So through following table, we would be able to understand it in a very appropriate manner. So we are having a units, we are having total cost, and we are having total revenue. Now we are having marginal cost. So marginal cost is the difference of 10 and 20, 20 and 30, 30 and 40, 40 and 15, 50 and 60. So what we are getting, the marginal cost is 10. That is constant. Then we are having marginal revenue. Now this marginal revenue is derived through difference of first and second unit total revenue. So first unit revenue is 20, second unit revenue is 38. The difference of 38 and 20 is 18. So by consumption of second unit, we will be driving 18 units of marginal revenue, and the cost will be of 10. By the consumption of third unit, we will be driving 14 marginal revenue and cost is 10. By consumption of fourth unit, we will be driving 12 as our marginal revenue and 10 as our marginal cost. Till fourth unit, our marginal revenue is more than marginal cost. So we are having scope. We can keep on consuming additional unit. At fifth unit, our marginal cost and marginal revenue are equivalent. Both are equal. When both are equal and our total revenue is 74. So we are having maximum total revenue and our marginal cost and marginal revenue are equivalent. So we will not consume beyond this point. If we consume sixth unit where the cost is 10 and the revenue is 9. So the cost which we are paying is more than what the benefit we are driving. So we will be never consuming 6 unit. So through this marginal principle, we are able to decide how much unit should be consumed so that profit is maximized. And in this given case, we have decided to consume or to produce maximum 5 units. If we produce 5 units, our profit will be maximized. If we produce 6 units, our profit will not be maximized because 6 units will be giving us a loss of 1. So margin principle helps us to decide how much unit should be consumed so that profit is maximized. Next principle we have is discounting principle. Discounting principle says with the passage of time, value of money changes. The value of money which we have today will not be same after 1 year or a particular time period. So value of money keeps on changing, and that change is basically on the negative side. So the 100 rupee value today won't be same as 100 rupee after 1 year. So what will be changed? The quantity you will be able to buy today won't be able to buy after 1 year in same 100 rupee. Suppose you are able to buy 1 kg of certain commodity in 100 rupee today, and after 1 year when you go to market and you are having 100 rupee and you buy same commodity after 1 year in 100 rupee, and you will be getting suppose 900 grams. So the value of money has been decreased by 10%. Earlier I am going to get 1000 gram, and after 1 year in same 100 rupee I am going to get 900 gram. So the purchasing power of rupee has been declined. So when we invest our money, we invest it at current date, and the revenue which we will be generating, it will be at future date. So what we have invested is today, and what we are getting, we will be getting it in future. So suppose I have invested 1 lakh rupee today, and I am getting 1,10,000 rupee after 1 year. So to make a comparison, what I have invested and what I am getting after 1 year. So we are having two different time zones. We are having two different amounts. Now how to make a comparison whether the investment proposal is beneficial or not? Whether by investing the 1 lakh rupee now and getting 1,10,000 rupee after 1 year is a profitable venture or not? For that we have to compare. We have to compare what we have invested and what we are getting. Now how come we can compare it? So we have to convert either of the amount into either of the time zone. So when we convert our future value into present value for the sake of comparison, what we have invested is actually and what we are getting. So what we are getting is actually more than what we have invested. For doing so, what we have to do, we have to convert the future value into present value. Suppose I am getting 1,10,000 rupee after 1 year, and for that I have to invest 1 lakh rupee right now. So what I should be doing, I should be discounting my 1 lakh 10 rupee into current time period. So conversion of 1 lakh 10,000 rupee into current time period when I'm investing 1 lakh rupee. And if the value of 1 lakh 10,000 rupee, discounted value of 1 lakh 10,000 rupee is more than 1 lakh. So I'm going to accept the proposal. Or even if it is equivalent to 1 lakh, I'm going to accept the proposal. But if the present value or the discounted value of 1 lakh 10,000 rupee is something less than 1 lakh, so I'm going to reject it. So what I'm going to do through discounting principle, I'm going to convert our future value into current value since the investment is done at current date for making a comparison of the amount. So we have to get amount at same time zone. So what we will be doing, a future value will be discounted and converted into present value, and that present value is of future profit is compared to current investment. If the future profits are more than current investment or equivalent to current investment, we are going to invest in that particular business or venture. But if the future value of profit, a discounted value of future profits are less than current investment, that means you will be at loss, and that particular proposal should be rejected. So for the comparison's sake, what we have to do, we have to convert either of the value into a particular time zone for a comparison. So we cannot compare current investment to future value. So what we are doing, if that comparison is not possible, so we are converting our future value into present value so that comparison can be done and a decision can be made whether to invest or not. So that is accounting principle. Next principle we are having opportunity cost principle. Now opportunity cost principle helps us to decide what should be minimum return or minimum benefit or one should accept from a particular proposal or particular option. So opportunity cost is the benefits of next best alternative foregone for choosing the best alternative. It's human tendency. Each and every human think rational. When they are rational thinker, so individual choose best option. For choosing a best option, an individual sacrifices the second best option. The option which has been sacrificed, second best option, the benefits of second best option becomes the opportunity cost for the best alternative which is being chosen by a particular individual. Now that particular decision of choosing best alternative and sacrificing the second best alternative give us an idea. Since we have sacrificed something, so that become our opportunity cost, and the best alternative should give us a minimum return that what we have sacrificed. Since we are getting it and we have sacrificed it for the best alternative, so best alternative must ensure that it should be giving us a minimum return of benefit what we have sacrificed. So opportunity cost helps us to decide what should be the minimum return or benefit that you should be expecting from your chosen alternative. So that is opportunity cost principle. Next, we are having time perspective principle. In economics, When we make decision from the two time perspective, that is short run and long run. We have one more time perspective, that is very short run. The decision which we make varies as per the time zone. Now, how come a decision can vary as per the time zone? We can take an example. When in March 2020, immediate lockdown was declared, and India became aware of a virus, a deadly virus, which can be spread through air. As a virus, it can be spread from one individual to another individual. For precaution, each and every individual has to wear a mask. So mask is a precautionary measure which has to be taken. So when the Indians become aware of the virus, they become aware of that they need mask immediately to safeguard them from the deadly virus. So there was an instant demand in the market for the mask. When there's an instant demand in the market, so it's a very short run, very instant demand. Immediately customers go to market and they keep on asking about the mask. So very instant demand. So the manufacturing units won't have time. They don't have time to adjust their manufacturing process to manufacture more mask in a very short span of time and keep on and supply it to the market. So since it's very short run, so manufacturing process or scheduling cannot be adjusted immediately. So the only option left is to import it from the other country. Since the time span is very short, so our decision has been varied from manufacturing to buy it from someone else. Gradually, when we realized it will be for a longer time period, so this virus is to stay uh, up to a certain time, and we are not aware of how much time it will take to ride off this particular virus. So manufacturing units adjusted their manufacturing process, manufacturing capacity, and they keep on manufacturing it, the mask, rather than importing from the other country. Now the perspective has been changed. Now we are going from the long term perspective. From the long term perspective, it's beneficial to manufacture it rather than import it from the other country. So the decision which we will be taking will be varying as per the time frame. If you're taking it in a very short run, in a short run time frame, our decision will be something else. If you're taking it from the long term perspective, our decision will be something else. So time perspective plays very important role. And when we are taking decision, we have to take into consideration the time perspective. If we don't take time perspective into consideration, our decisions can be ambiguous. They can result into loss to the organization. So each and every organization and the decision maker has to take into consideration the time perspective. Next principle which we have is increment principle. Now, increment principle is something like marginal principle, but in marginal principle we are taking an increment of a single unit. What will be the impact on revenue with the consumption or production of one additional unit? And what will be the impact on cost with the consumption or production of one additional unit? When we are going and talking about one additional unit, in that case, in marginal principle is applicable. When we are talking about bulk, when we are producing in bulk, when we are selling it in bulk, when we are consuming it in bulk. So when we are talking about bulk quantity, so marginal principle won't be applicable. For that, we apply increment principle. Increment principle says the increment in cost should be less than increment in revenue. So indirectly it can be said the increment in revenue should be more than increment in cost. So when we take decision, we will be taking the total revenue and total cost. Right? And the total revenue, the change in total revenue due to manufacturing a bulk unit rather than a single unit should be more than the change in the cost. Or if there is a decrease in revenue, so the decrease in revenue should be less than the decrease in cost. So revenue, if it is decreasing, it should be decreasing at a lesser rate than decrease in the cost. So through this, our organization or individual will be at profit position. So likewise, the decision rule has been mentioned over there. So total cost should be always less than total revenue, or it should be equal to total revenue, and total cost should be equal. But in no case, total cost should be more than total revenue. So every organization tries to maintain a gap between total revenue and total cost, and revenue should be more than total cost. So in that position, a particular individual organization will be at profit position. The last principle which we will be having is equimarginal principle. Equimarginal principle says when we have to consume more than one unit, or we have to take into consideration more than one unit for our manufacturing process. So how much of particular commodity should be consumed or used so that our profit is maximized? So how we are going to decide it? When we are having a particular resource and that resource has to be spent or invested into more than one option. When you are having more than one option to invest, and how much should be invested in particular option, how we are going to make this particular decision. So this decision can be taken through equimarginal principle. Equimarginal principle says when you are having more than one option to invest for, so you have to follow a equimarginal principle. Equimarginal principle is the marginal utility which you will be driving from each and every option should be same. So you will be investing up to that extent where the marginal utility derived from each and every option is same. So if we take this particular example, so we are having 6 units to consume, and we are having two particular types of commodities, commodity X and commodity Y. And marginal utility of each and every both the commodities are mentioned. So marginal utility of X commodity is mentioned and marginal utility of Y commodity is mentioned. Now we have to decide how much of X and how much of Y should be consumed so that our total utility is maximized. Now to take this particular decision, we apply equimarginal principle. So we will be consuming particular commodity of X and Y where the marginal utility of both the commodities are same. So when we compare, and we will be finding it out, the 20 margin utility 20 is common in both the cases. So in case of X commodity, by consumption of 6 units, we will be getting, by consumption of 6 unit, we will be getting 20 as marginal utility. And in case of Y commodity, after consumption of 4th unit, we will be getting 20 as marginal utility. So now we are very much into a position to make decision that we have to consume 6 units of X and 4 units of Y. So in that case, our total utility will be maximized. If we choose any other option other than 6 units of X and 4 units of Y, our total utility will not be maximized. You can go and opt any other combination, and you will be finding it that the total utility won't be maximized. It is always maximized by consumption of 6 units of X and 4 units of Y, since the marginal utility for both the commodities X and Y are equal. So that gives a us an idea to take a decision how much of particular commodity should be consumed if you are having more than one option to invest. Thank you.